morning, everybody. This is Tim Green with Rattle Magazine. Welcome to Poets Respond Live, the Sunday morning news show where we talk about current events through the lens of poetry. To join in, this is how it works. It's an open mic mostly, if you're your first time here. So all you have to do is send me a chat message over Skype to Rattle Poetry, all one word. You can see it on the screen there. Just log into Skype, send me a chat message, and I'll see it, and you'll be on the list. And if you'd like to call in instead over the phone, the number is 818-850-7727. And same thing, let it ring a few times, and it'll show up on my call list, and then I'll call you back when the time is right. We have a bunch of people lined up. Ortolani, we're going to try Pranab Ghosh again. Hopefully we can get him. Anupam Dutta, Nitika Sakharwade. Let's see. So we have a whole bunch of people lined up already. And the other thing I should say is if you submitted the poem to Poets Respond, I could just pull it up and through Submittable and show it on the screen. But if you'd like to read a poem about current events, and this show is for poems about stuff that happened over the last week. So if you have a poem about current events that you didn't submit to Poets Respond but would like to read, just email it to openmic, all one word, openmic @rattle.com, and then I can show it that way. And try it, if you send it as a document, don't put your name or contact information in the file, because I don't want to show your contact information on the screen by accident. Okay, so this was an interesting week, obviously, with a lot of news going on, and most of the, a lot of the news has gotten buried. Even there's just, and it was a strange week to read the submissions too. I saw somebody on Twitter or something say, just comment, I missed the the quaint Joe Exotic phase of the pandemic. And it really felt like Tuesday was the transition between the quaint Joe Exotic phase of the pandemic and the real world and all our actual problems, in addition to the pandemic, reminding us that they haven't gone away. And so the submissions were really interesting because the first Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, the submissions were all sort of the first phase. There was a lot of poems still about, sort of the quarantine depression or something like that. And the poem I chose, I picked this on, I think it was Monday night or maybe Tuesday morning, but I thought we would publish this on Saturday. And this is David Kirby. And this is his poem, Study, Electricity, Etc. And I published this one because I felt like it was a happy poem, which doesn't happen very often. And I thought we could all use it at the time and still can. So this is David Kirby reading Study, Electricity, Etc.
Study, Electricity, Etc. Third item on Jay Gatsby's self-improvement schedule after rise from bed and dumbbell exercise and wall scaling. You did that already, not electricity, but the etc. part. Etc. means and the rest, and you've mastered that. You work from home as we do these days, but you put on a nice top and a dab of makeup and combed your hair. When the children need help with their homework, you make time, and when your husband says he wants to give them 2 more math problems and some vocabulary, you say fine. The 4 of you have lunch together, and when he takes the kids out to play with the dog, you manage a quick nap. Then tea, then you wrap up your work and make notes for tomorrow. Scrambled eggs, toast, and fruit cup for the children. Let them watch Frozen for the 100th time. How could it hurt? Now you and your husband can have dinner on the deck. Goat cheese, shrimp with mushrooms, a bottle of Sancerre so cold you think your teeth might crack. You walk around the block, making room as others approach. Bath time, PJs, their books, yours. When you were walking, you waved to other families on their porches. They waved back.
it was David Kirby reading his poem "Study Electricity," etc. And I thought it felt, I felt like it captured the pleasant aspects of the lockdown that we've been living through, and maybe is a good poem to, I don't know, sort of end that phase. And as things are opening up more, people are writing about a lot more different topics, and maybe that can be the last quarantine poem that we do. I don't know. We'll see. Then, of course, where am I losing it? Okay. Yeah, so on Tuesday, of course, George Floyd was just brutally murdered on video, and most of the poems since then have been about that or some aspect of that. And that's a tough topic to do because it's so politically charged. It's hard to write poems that don't dip into rhetoric and become sort of poems about, spreading a specific message that's not really, that's not really what poetry does. Poetry finds the hidden angles and joints between things and picks at the cracks and the sort of holes in our thinking, And so it's hard to write really political poems that work, I think. It's a really difficult thing to do. They end up being sort of poems explaining good values, but it's hard to do that in a way that works as poetry. But I thought this poem did an amazing job of being a real good poem on this difficult topic. And so this was today's poem. This is Kareem El-Tawansi with his poem Choke. And I just love the way that the poem moves through images and lets the images leap from one to another in this sort of dreamy way of moving through a poem. And the effect is really powerful, in my opinion. So this is Kareem El-Tawansi reading Choke.
A tattoo of birds in the cage of my throat. I can't breathe. The world is an eye open to the sun. How many poems do you have by dreaming of fire, of water, too late, too little, of breath on the feathers a naked cat is sculpted into a sphinx? Tell me the sculptor was using his fingers as a ruler, his palm a throne. I hold all of life in my throat. I hold the seventh heaven on my devil's whisper. A genie says what a genie says. I'm not available right now. Get in the car. The lamp holds nothing to the candle wish of tongue, holds a shadow in the corner of my eye. Blink thrice if a baton chops because someone says gravity. I've heard a lot of songs about misery, but never felt a bullet slash through my body's grass limbs. How do I describe this membrane? What his body looked like in breath, in its lover's casket? I say, brave. One syllable drops at the speed of exhale. One Marlboro tastes like a carcass. If you ask me about Africa, I'll point my thumb down the chamber, stick my head in the camera lens, fall into black, black, black everything, birds included.
Once again, that was Kareem El-Tawansi reading his poem Choke today for Poets Respond. We have another poem coming up too by one of my favorite poets, and Ray Lennon. He was the winner of the, I don't know what year, the Rattle Poetry Prize several years ago. And he's got such a distinctive style. And he wrote a great poem too, which will be coming up on Tuesday. So you can look forward to reading that. Now let's open up the open lines and see what you all have for us today. Let's see. I should make sure everything's working because it didn't last week. But hello, Kashiana Singh, Mary Tora Grossa, Jessica Dawson, good to see you. She says she met David Kirby once when she was in college. Nice guy. Yeah, I like David Kirby a lot. He is a nice guy. Let's see. Jessica Dawson also says she couldn't get unangry enough to write anything poetic this week. Yeah. And then over on, we got a bunch of people on YouTube. Pepper Trails here. He'd like to read Checklist. Okay, yeah, just call in, Pepper. using this number again. Let me show it on screen one more time. You can call 818-850-7727 or send me a chat message over Skype to Rattle Poetry. If you call on the phone, I don't know who's who. The whole time I just do call people at random pretty much. Or not random, but in the order they were received. So it doesn't really matter, but I can't tell who's who if it's calling. I just have the numbers with the area code. So it's kind of a mystery. We see who we get to. Now, one of the poems that I loved but didn't have room for this week was Al Ortolani's poem. And let's call Al up. One thing I should say, too, if I call you, make sure that you click out of your YouTube stream or Facebook or whatever so it doesn't echo.
Hello.
Al, hi, let me pull you in. I hear you. I think you have to click the video button to...
Okay.
So we can see you, too. It's, there you go, here you come. Hey, Al. Yeah,
what do you know? I'm on there.
You are.
This is like Greek to me every time I do it, learning Sanskrit or something.
Yeah, well, it works, and you were on the Rattlecast as a guest. I don't remember, that was September, I guess, one of the early guests we had for your chapbook.
And that was the one and only time I'd use Skype. So.
Well, now we're on time number 2. But so how are you doing this week? How are things where you are in Kansas City?
Doing well. We are slowly opening up Kansas City for some sort of back to normal thing. Mm-hmm. And this evening we actually have our entire family coming over for hamburgers, so that'll be the first time in quite a while. Yeah,
we're doing the same, and I feel like it's sort of insane to do it, but we're having letting our kids have a sleepover at their grandparents' house tonight. And It's the first time they've come out in our backyard, but no physical contact, and nothing's changed. So I don't know why. It's just I guess we're sick of not doing stuff.
I know.
Like the dynamics of the virus aren't any different just because we waited a little while. But life has to go on. I guess something.
It does.
At least in small quantities. So your poem was on cruelty.
On cruelty.
And do you want to say anything about what it was about and what inspired it?
Well, I have a very difficult time, like probably most of us do, writing about things that are really packed with emotion. And so I had to really sort of focus this poem and narrow it down. I haven't had much time to work with it. It's a one-day poem. And what I've been trying to do since we got the shutdown for coronavirus is to write a poem a day and not leave the computer till I had something and then put it on Facebook. And then I kind of work, it helps me with my loneliness, etc. And I can stay in contact with all kinds of friends and so on. And it's been a healthy thing. So I'm never sure though if the poems are really good. And
well, I've read a bunch of them and definitely they're good very often. And this one in particular I thought was really good.
Well, I was happy with this one. The poem came about because I had seen the video of George Floyd, and it really angered me and frustrated me, and it was sickening to watch. And I was drawn to it again and again to see this drama unfold, and couldn't get it out of my head. And so this poem on cruelty came out of it as essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody can read it, so go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. I haven't been able to print it because, once again, we have changed our rotor, and I haven't figured out how to link it to the printer yet. So I'll read it from my phone, and we'll see how that goes. On cruelty. I can only write this poem by sinking into shit, and this sickens me to despair. The gravity of a knee, a thigh, 200 pounds of muscle, bone, and blood compressed to pavement, to the man-made, road-hardened soul. If I wrote this, I would need my mother to help me to my feet again. And frankly, I know suffocation cannot be forgotten, for having once felt the knee compressing the windpipe, there is no poem outliving it.
I think that was On Cruelty by Al Ortolani. And that's what it was. I mean, it was just of all the videos of police shootings, and there's so many, that was the starkness of the lack of compassion was just so. I mean, you couldn't have a video that was more upsetting to watch and showed the reality of that more than that. Yeah. So, thanks for sharing and writing that, Al. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity, Tim.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Okay, so that was Al Ortolani. Let's see. I try to go through the order that people were asked to be on. Let's see. And I'll skip to put people who've been on a bunch before toward the back of the line, but we'll get to you too if possible. Let's see. Let's see. Craig Bell is here. Dick Westheimer. Miguel Antonio Garcia. Let's see. So who is next? William Friedman is here. Okay. Let's do. Yeah. Let's do Natika. Natika, hi, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
hello.
Good to see you. Let me pull you in so everybody else can too. Yeah, so this is Natika Sakarwade, is that how you'd say it?
Nitika Sakarwade.
Sakarwade, okay, thank you, yeah. So where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Waterloo, in Ontario.
Okay, and let me just get your screen size, good, okay. And what poem did you want to share this week?
So I wanted to share the poem I shared for Poets Respond. It's called Second Wave.
Okay, yeah, and you want to say a little bit about what it's about while I pull it up?
Sure. So it was inspired by a discussion that I saw in the Indian Summer Festival last week. And it was a discussion between Vandana Shiva and David Suzuki on, it was called The Virus is a Wake-Up Call. And like while watching it, I realized the power of narratives that, like similar to the language around the ecological crisis, it's easy to shift the language of the pandemic from active to passive. And the term second wave alludes to the inevitable futures that we will face. And we are playing the victim card, but we are not victims. So the poem is trying to reframe the pandemic for what it is, a part of a larger ecological crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good thing to point out because it's definitely true. Well, everybody can see it now if you want to read it.
Okay, great. Second wave. They say it's coming, as if it is out of our control, tsunami waves crashing into our ribs, drowning us. But waves are made of sinusoidals, not exponentials. Let us not guise ourselves victims to a catastrophe natural. There is nothing natural of a pandemic biologists warned us about, even if we feel better instead, anthropomorphizing 2020, guising the failures of governments, sending us to our graves in the name of an economy. They say we will see another Great Depression, the one my grandparents lived, that I still taste in their recipes, lingering paucity on my tongue. But the world wars were no natural calamity, and today is no different. There's nothing natural of animals being farmed in close quarters, confined, waiting for death, or genocide in the wake of a pandemic. Then we wonder why each alien story, movie, harbors fears of conquest as if human history is not wrought with colonizing the earth. There's nothing surprising of an economy built on lies of consumption, wanting to reopen, or governments that could nuke the earth 100 times over, not having enough ventilators. This is not a second wave. This is a crisis in the making for a century, punching us in the ribs, a crescendo, to the debt we owe our children.
Thanks so much. That was Nikita Sakarwade. reading Second Wave.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that was one of those poems I wanted to like snap my agreement many times because it's so true. That especially that line about the ventilators. Yeah, I mean, kind of how big a nuclear arsenal or the latest ominous weapons, and not have enough medical supplies. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
my pleasure.
Have a good day.
You too. Okay, let's see. Who would be next? Let's try this 203 number. I don't know who 203 is, but we'll see in a second. Oops. Well, the phone is ringing now.
Hello?
Hey, this is Tim with Rattle Magazine. Did you want to share a poem?
Yes. Hi, this is Celine Mariotti in Shelton, Connecticut.
Hi, Celine. You always get right in the top of the line. Good to hear from you again. How are you doing this weekend?
Good to hear from you. Good to be on the open mic again. Last week I couldn't get on. The YouTube it wasn't on. The open mic wasn't on there.
Yeah, it was only we made a mistake, or I don't know, something went wrong. I couldn't figure out what, but for some reason it didn't go. It looks like it's working today though.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'll read my poem, An Uncertain Future in an Uncertain World, and it's about the coronavirus, and it's also about the Spanish influenza of 1918. This is not the world of 1919, though much doesn't really change. Then the pandemic of influenza killed 500,000 to 700,000 people in the USA. Churches, schools, theaters, and other public places were closed. Back then, just like now. We've reached over 100,000 deaths already in the USA from this coronavirus, more than all the soldiers we lost in the Vietnam War. The casualties were 58,220, a war that lasted more than 10 years. What caused the pandemic of 1918? It started in Kansas. A doctor saw unusual activity with the flu, reported it to the U.S. Public Health. One morning in 1918, soldier at Fort Riley in Kansas, sick with fever, sore throat, and headache. By lunchtime that same day in 1918, 100 soldiers were sick. It spread throughout the country and on the battlefields in Europe. It became a respiratory illness as well, both upper and lower respiratory, 102 years ago. And now we are in another huge pandemic. Did it spread from human to human? Did animals spread it in a market in China? Or were the Chinese experimenting with biological warfare? There's still more cases. There's still more deaths. There's positive news of people recovering. There's still news of people self-quarantining. There's news of pharmaceutical companies working on a vaccine, working on a cure. Is it possible for someone who had corona to contract it again? Is it like the flu? So many uncertainties, but a lot of positive news. They're testing the vaccine on people. Oxford University in England is also working on a vaccine. Doctors and scientists everywhere working to end this pandemic and return us all to a normal life. So a tribute to all who died in 1918, 1919 from the Spanish influenza and soldiers who died fighting in World War I. We must never forget them. A tribute to all who have died from the coronavirus and to all our men and women in the United States military. God bless them all.
Thanks so much. That was Celine Mariotti reading her poem, An Uncertain Future in an Uncertain World. Thanks so much for joining us again, Celine. It's always good to hear from you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Let's see. Let's do this 541 number. I think this might be Pepper Trail. Because I saw he left his number in the chat. And I deleted it.
Hi, this is Pepper.
Hey, Pepper, this is Tim with Rattle. Did you want to share a poem?
Sure, that would be great. I could share my poem that I submitted to Poets Respond checklist.
Yeah, let me pull it up. But so where are you calling from? I think you're in the Pacific Northwest somewhere, right?
Yep, Ashland, Oregon.
And how are things where you are?
Well, we were getting some much-needed rain, so that's a treat. We're quite a bit behind the rain year this year, so we're glad to have it.
Yeah, I'm always very jealous if I hear anybody say that. We, in Southern California here, maybe we get some in the monsoon, but it could be from like April until September, October before we get any. So, yeah. So your poem checklist, do you want to say anything about what it was about?
Sure. Early in the week, there was an incident that was widely reported where a black man, Christian Cooper, was birdwatching in Central Park in an area which is sort of reserved for natural activities, and he came upon a woman who had her dog off the leash who was creating quite a disturbance, and he very politely asked her to leash the dog, and she was literally standing next to next to a sign saying that all dogs must be on leash, and she very quickly got out of control and eventually called the police, and her quote was, "There's an African-American man threatening my life." And he was clearly a birder. He handled the situation very, very, very well. And I'm also a bird watcher, and so I wrote this poem sort of using the language of birding to reflect on this incident. It's called Checklist.
Okay, it's not everybody can see it, so go ahead and read whenever you're ready.
Checklist. The visitors, the black pole, the Blackburnian, the black and white warblers are watched, are listed, are followed on their way out of the city. While the blackbirds of the blocks, call them starlings and crows, flock uninvited into the green of the park as if they were as welcome as dogs. To be truly seen, no field marks are enough. The binoculars, the bird book, no distinctive behavior, the gazing into the trees, no gentleness is enough. No fine intelligence, no polite words are enough. One observation, black, and the identification is made. The checklist is marked. There's an African-American man threatening my life.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Pepper. It was, both of these videos that came out this week were such stark examples of the problems with race we have. I mean, the George Floyd one was just the callousness of the police there and the inhumane way that he was being treated. But with this, it was just the knee-jerk sort of duplicitousness of somebody using that, wielding whiteness as a weapon or whatever. It was just another terrible thing to see, but something that happens all the time, and now we get it on tape. But you're but I love the way that the person who was at the brunt end of that dealt with it. And one of the things I saw that he wanted to do is to encourage more people to do birding. So just. I'm kind of curious. It's something I never really do myself, although we live in a forest with lots of birds. So what is it that you get out of bird watching?
Well, I'm actually a professional ornithologist as well as a bird watcher, so I have a scientific interest in birds. But birds are, to me and to most people, I think, birds represent freedom. They interact with the world in very similar ways that we do. They're very visual, they're very musical, and so they're probably the species of animals that are most easily observed, and their behavior can be sort of understood, I think, in a way that we have a difficulty understanding the behavior, say, of mammals whose lives are ruled mostly by the sense of smell, which is not very developed for us. So their diversity, their liveliness, their freedom, and their musicality are all things that I love deeply about birds.
That's really cool to hear. Yeah, I hadn't heard it put that way, but yeah, that totally makes sense. One of the poems, if you ask Alan Fox, our founder, what his favorite poem we've ever published is, it's Life List by Janet McCann, which is about a bird watcher who just at the end of his life, gets to see the bird he'd been, trying to find. It's just a really short, really touching poem. But I always think about that with birding too, if everybody wants to check it out. But thanks so much for joining and sharing that, Pepper. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day.
I will. I'll get out and watch some birds.
Yeah, please do. I think maybe I will too. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, let's see. We'll try every week we've tried Pranab Ghosh, and it never connects. So we'll try it here. And I can't make international calls. But, it's ringing. Maybe it'll work this time. I don't think it's ever rang. I think it's usually just busy. So Pranab is in India, and I can't make international calls out, although I think you can call me. Hello, are you there? Hello, can you hear me? Pranab? I hear something. I hear like traffic in the background. Hello? Yeah, it doesn't...
Hello?
Oh no. Shoot. Yeah, I don't think he could hear me. So, yeah, it just never works. I'm sorry. Let me share this poem really quick. This is what I was talking about. This is Life List by Janet McCann. And just since I brought it up. But this is Alan's favorite poem from Rattle. Oh, hang on. What's going on here? Life List by Janet McCann. My friend, the scholar birdwatcher, is dying after a quiet, regular life of Milton and birds. And if I could imagine him a farewell, it would be this: to look out into the small yard he tended for 40 years, to where he placed the birdhouses, the martin house, and the hummingbird feeder, just in time to see a sweep of air curve in and take form. The great Arctic garfalcon, not in his life list, there on the sill, beak, feathers and pinions, and final knowledge, Adam's homecoming after the story's end, better than Eden. May he leave in his hand a feather, that his wife might know where he is gone. And that was from Rattle number, I think it was originally in Rattle number 17, but we put it in 25, the Best of Rattle issue, because that's always been one of Alan's favorite poems. So that was Life List by Janet McCann. Let's see. Let's do a Jagari Mukherjee. Hello, this is Tim. But let me pull you into the screen so you can we can see you 1 second. Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great, and this is Jagari Mukherjee from looks like from Calcutta, India, right?
Right, absolutely.
So, how are things for you there tonight?
Well, things are fine. The weather is very hot. The weather is kind of unpredictable. Sometimes there is storm and it's raining, and other times it is hot and sweltering. So unpredictable weather, I would say.
And so your poem was about the weather too. It was about the cyclone that came through, right? It's called Cyclone.
And that is right.
How did that affect you? Was there damage for you and disruption, or was it? Well, we'll find out in the poem maybe. But how are you doing?
Okay, I think I have been pretty lucky that the damage wasn't extensive, except some damage to our garden. Mm-hmm. But there have been people in remote areas who were affected very badly. And that is what inspired this poem.
Okay, well, everybody can see it, so go ahead and read whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you so much. Cyclone. The cyclone rattles my doors and windows. It breaks the glass of my skin and blows off the tin roof of my conscience, ripping out any refuge. The homeless gnaw at the cold bones of life to stave off starvation. I cannot bear to look into their eyes, lest I betray myself. I mourn the loss of the neighborhood mango tree rather than that of their emaciated newborn, now lying still at the milkless breast of a wailing mother. My shame, like a needle, sews my nerves tight. The mother's cries pierce the eye of the cyclone.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing. That's a heartbreaking poem. Appreciate writing and sharing it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. Have a good one.
You too. Have a nice day.
Okay. Let's see. I think we let's do Margaret Koger. I think she wanted to be on last time. We didn't get to her, so let's get to her this week for sure. Hey, Margaret, can you hear me? Hello? Margaret, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hello, there you are. Let me
Yes.
put you in
Hello.
here. How you doing today?
Good. Good.
And where are you calling from? I don't remember.
Boise, Idaho.
Ah, that's right. Okay, yeah. Well, thanks for joining us again. What do you have for us this week?
I have to ask you. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We can hear you. Yeah.
Good. Good. Thank you.
So what do you have for us this week?
Boise, Idaho.
Oh, I think you have a. You have to shut off your stream because there's a delay. So I think that's confusing.
Okay. I just turned off my Skype.
Okay. Yeah. So now we're just live here. So what did you write about this week that you wanted to share?
I have a.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do I see you?
I'm not sure because I'm not looking at your camera, but you're on screen and everybody can see and hear you. So why don't you just share your poem and let us know what it's about?
Chocolate pie.
And a lost little dog. Yeah, I have it here. So go ahead and read it whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay. Chocolate pie and a little dog. I had usually been and okay.
Well,
geez, is there any way I can see it?
no, you have to have it. Yeah, I should tell everybody you have to have the poem with you because there's a big delay and you don't see the screen as you read. So you have to have the poem with you somewhere. Are you ready? Do you have it?
Okay.
Are you ready to read? Okay,
Yes.
Go ahead. Just go ahead and read it. We're all ready. But you have to have your own copy.
Okay.
Do you have your copy of the poem somewhere?
Yes. Here goes.
Okay.
When I was a child, I loved to sing, "Oh, where has been the dog?" Huh? Yes, I'm reading it now.
Yes, I'm reading it now.
Yeah, please do. I think that there might be the delay that's confusing you, or maybe it's my voice is coming out twice. But
it's the delay.
Yeah. So just go ahead and read it. We have it on screen. We're ready to go. We're all waiting for it. So ignore me and just read it.
Okay, Chocolate Pie and the Little Lost Dog. When I was a child, I loved to sing, oh, where has my little dog gone? Oh, where could he be? The winsome lines perfectly revealed the desire for the rescue of comfort in a thousand threatened worlds, still hunting of a possible, if miraculous, return. It may be true a dog comforts like no other, but chocolate pie But chocolate is manna for millions of humans stuck at home, longing for a lost life, and trying to ransom self, family, friends. So treats, hot chocolate, Cocoa Puffs, marshmallow cream, fudge, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, chocolate with almonds or peanuts, exotics like white chocolate with lavender, the little dog who had his ears cut short and his tail cut long, a little humor to bring a smile, surviving in spite of loss and perhaps, like chocolate, lined up against panic, fear, and grief. Oh, where indeed. So the pie I baked yesterday, or where we would have been, May 23rd, in Apalachicola, Florida, celebrating my husband's birthday. There's a shop in town called the Chocolate Company, featuring divine chocolate pie, better than church ladies' Lenten luncheon standard of chocolate pudding-filled pie. Enter the recipe for fudge pie. Surely a winner. Chocolate graham cracker crust made with butter, semi-sweet chocolate mixed into cream, a half cup of cocoa. What could go wrong? Buy marshmallow cream for the first time in 50 years. Spending hours on a pie, combining 3 recipes. Such high hopes, and yet, well, the charm of singing about a missing dog is that it could still return. A lost love with promise. So maybe someday, brownie or cocoa or choco, the Uber dog of childhood dreams, return just as long to survive long enough to see our world recover anew from the pandemic here.
Thanks so much. That was Margaret Koger reading her poem Chocolate Pie and the Little Lost Dog. I'm going to let you go because the echo's confusing, but thanks for fighting through that and sharing it with everybody. And I'll let everybody know what the poem was about. Let's see. So this is what Margaret wrote in her note. She says, like so many people longing for traditional vacations, we couldn't leave home this May. For years, we've traveled to Florida and celebrated my husband's birthday while staying in the historic section of Apalachicola, never heard of that. We're from Idaho, and the Appalach feels like our childhood homes, with broken sidewalks and friendly people, with the bonuses of magnolia trees, crab cakes, and the wide, wide river mouth. Lacking a trip, the chocolate company down the street from the Gibson Inn, I was forced to bring my culinary skills to the fore with a homemade pie. The same but different. This has somehow reminded me of the nursery song about the lost dog I see from the news. A lot of people are also depending on treats and pets to buoy up their spirits. It was a fairly happy birthday, despite the pandemic. Maybe next year. So happy birthday to Margaret's husband. And thanks for sharing that poem. Yeah, the interesting about that nursery rhyme, the little lost dog, and why does that bring up such emotion? That was interesting insight. Thanks so much for sharing that, Margaret. And I think what was happening is there was I think the sound for the YouTube stream or Facebook or wherever she's watching wasn't turned off. So there's that. So she was hearing herself 30 seconds after she said something, which is really confusing, which is why when you call in, you have to shut off your stream wherever you're watching it live, because there's a 30-second or so delay. Let's see. Let's do Chris Klinefelter. We'll see what Chris has for us. Well, it's ringing. Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm not seeing you yet, but I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we hear you. You see me yet?
Okay.
There you go. We see you and hear you. So let me pull you in.
Good.
You got a good, big, strong internet connection. Like, that's huge. Okay. Hang on.
All right.
This is the biggest one I've come across yet. And I just
I'm
still cannot.
kind of in the boonies.
That's strange, yeah, but the Skype really likes you. Okay. Okay, so where are you calling from, Chris?
I'm calling from Port Angeles, Washington.
I love Port Angeles. And how are things there?
Not bad, fairly quiet. Of course, Seattle is tending to burn a bit, but we're pretty far away from that, and I don't really get to Seattle very often. We had a small local protest last night, but it kind of got rained on pretty good. Mm-hmm. Kind of dampened everyone's ardor a bit, which might be a good thing right now.
Yeah, it could be. So what poem did you want to share, and did you submit it? Because I'm trying to find it, and it's not coming up.
I had not submitted this before. I'm only just kind of stumbling on you this morning.
Okay.
And trying to figure it out as I go along.
Well, it sounds good. Is there any way you could email it to me really quick at openmic@rattle.com?
Probably can do that.
Yeah.
Hang on if I can get that going here. I have to find some other windows and things to work.
Yeah. Well, if you want, I could just call you back after I call someone else.
Okay, that would be fine.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's reconnect. I'll call the next person on the list, and then we'll reconnect.
All right, and where am I emailing to again?
Open mic, all one word, open and MIC, openmic@rattle.com.
Openmic@rattle.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. I'll call you in just a minute.
All righty. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. Let's do. Let's call up William Friedman. He wanted to share something. He's been on a couple times, been out for about 3 weeks. He's on Skype right now. He's got a poem called Alternating Current that he wanted to share. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm fine, thanks, Tim. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm great. Good to see you again. And you're calling from Israel as always. How are things doing there this week?
Well, we had a spike. They sent people out, and people went out and didn't pay any attention to social distance or masking. So we went from something like 5 or 6 new cases a day up to over 100.
Yep.
And now they have to mainly out of schools where they're crowded into. Yeah, so they had to shut down a number of schools. And who knows what will happen.
Yeah,
now.
I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen here. I went to the store the other day and nobody had a mask and everybody was just acting like it was nothing. And there's a party at my neighbor's house like every night on the weekend. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, it's one thing to go back to work and be cautious, but to act like something's changed is just baffling to me. Because nothing's changed. Like we don't have any kind of. There's no vaccine. There's no immunity that we. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know if your poem's about that. What's your poem that you have for us today?
Oh well, this poem is about everything. It's about creation and creativity and good and evil. It turns out to be a big poem about good and evil. And I just used the policeman with his knee on George Floyd's neck as the kind of the emblem of evil in the poem.
And this is alternating current, right?
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
Read it. Go ahead.
Okay. If I don't sit upright as my serpent's spine demands, he's thinking a smart new line to hook an unsuspecting woman, new way to heal. he'll hiss a shocking current to my left foot. We are, I know, charged, electric. See Eureka, light bulb on a bubbled chain above the head. The kite sent up in a thunderstorm, Sebastian Bach. See also loathing, rage, the killer's and the lyncher's thrill. The policeman's knee on the black man's throat, the switch that shudders death through the pinioned flesh, condemned for its color to extinction. I had heard and so believed it was of the brain, its neurons, circuits, and synapses, but learned as a child, shuffling lazily across a carpet and touching inadvertently a globe-shaped lamp, it was everywhere inside me, waiting like a prisoner persuaded of his innocence to be released. I felt at my finger's edge a jolt that threw me back and saw between the end of me and the shard, where am I here? And a shard, where a shard from the other world began, a small spiked crown of fire. I don't know if people are, done this, right? As a child, we touch something after you scrape across a rug and you get a spark. Yeah, so that's what that is. Stunned, but I could not stop. Scraping my feet hard across the rug like Atlas drawing strength and courage from the earth, I lit the lamp again and then again where it could not light itself. I reveled in it as a small child's first stung taste of power, beautiful danger at the place where skin meets world, and just to watch them leap alive like the darting tongues of serpents or the one's words leap from to the cooler pool of air, I began to build small fires, and so I did. I thought them wonderful and watched them, white-eyed, until they dwindled, died. Or did I want this? Set a too close wooden wall alight, and I, frightened and exalted, ran. This is, I think, why we stare at infants, the fire-like flailing of their limbs, inconstant and surprising as only the newly burned into the world, not yet banked, can be, unpurposed, but to declare they live. When, as an old man, I looked up at Michelangelo's creation and the Italian chapel sky, I felt again the electric surge I knew God felt, divine prefiguration of my own when he touched that hand. Turning as I had to from what I'd learned about myself, most vividly in fiery dreams that woke me, and what God, who must have known, the knee had wrought.
Oh, great poem. Thanks for sharing that. It was William Friedman. I love that the fire-like flailing of their limbs and of infants. Yeah, and then the Sistine Chapel too. I don't know if I've thought of it that way, of it being an actual spark on the finger, but now I'll think of it that way every time for sure.
Well, I've changed your life, Tim.
You have, yeah. I'll put these poems. I always do. So, thanks so much, William. It's always good to hear from you.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
You too.
Have a good week.
Okay, now let's go back to. Let me see if I have. Well, I don't seem to have. I don't seem to have Chris Klinefelter's poem yet, so we'll wait a minute and call him. Let's see. Let's go do Kazi Sifat. Hey, Kazi, can you hear me? Hey, hello. Thanks so much for joining us. Let me pull you in so everybody can hear and see you too. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. How are you, Tim?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
And where are you calling from?
I'm from Bangladesh.
Ah. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So did you want to read I Can't Breathe or something else?
I Can't Breathe, yes, I want to read that.
All right, is there anything you want to say about it before you start?
It was about the whole situation about George Floyd
Mm-hmm.
that we are seeing now. It's a terrible thing to have witnessed.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And it has triggered so many people, and in response to that, I have written this poem.
Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I don't have it in memory. I'm gonna just
you have to
pick it up.
you have to pull it up for yourself.
Yeah.
So because you can't see this. I should warn everybody every episode, but yeah, you can't see when you're Skype calling me. You can't see the screen. Although maybe there's a way I can share my screen. But can you pull it up yourself somewhere?
Somewhere else?
Yeah. Do you have it anywhere?
No, sorry about that.
Let me see. Well, I could. Well, I could read it for you. I guess that's the only thing we can do, unfortunately. Let me see. Maybe I can.
Yes, that would be.
Actually, maybe I can share. Hang on one second. Maybe I can share my screen. Let's see. This will be a good thing to learn how to do. Can you see the screen now?
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you much. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll scroll down as you read then. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. I'm glad that works. I never tried it before. Okay.
I can't breathe. An eye for an eye, a hand for a hand, a life for a life. What is a life's worth? What is anything's worth? What is the worth of a daughter orphaned? What is the worth of a family in melancholy? What is the worth of a forged check? What is the worth of an arrest? What is the worth of an unarmed man in distress being knelt down upon? What is the worth of a single breath when you are choking for 7 damn minutes? What is the worth of begging and crying for a single breath? What is the worth of justice for the dead? I can't breathe. What is the worth of this sentence? Part 2. An eye for an eye, a hand for a hand, a life for a life, and so they say, what is the worth of a murder? A protest, a hashtag, a judicial act. Could an arson of a general store or a police station bring a life back? What is the worth of looting your neighborhood for a murder? Is it the worth of another life of the murderer unspared? I can't breathe, chant down the street. For the worth of a life, for the worth of many lives, come in peace. Please let there be justice in this world for a life's worth. A life for a life is justice served, but anarchy established is only the devil's party.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. And that was I Can't Breathe by Kazi Sifat from Bangladesh. It's really interesting to hear that the news of what's going on in the U.S. reaches Bangladesh. A lot of times it's the other way around, where poets in the U.S. are writing about news from other countries. And well, thanks so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me as well. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, let's see. We have time for one more. I'd like to do Chris Klinefelter, but I'm still not seeing that poem. Well, let's just have him read it, I guess. And we can listen. That was a good connection. So I'm calling up Chris Klinefelter again. But it's beeping. Well, he's not picking up this time. Let's see. Nope, he's not online anymore. Let me do this 416 number. And this might be the last caller of the day.
Anita here.
Hi, Anita. This is Tim from Rattle. Did you want to share a poem with us?
Oh, Tim. Yes. Would I be able to simply do it over the phone? Or
Yeah,
I'm struggling with my Skype, and next week I will have it down pat.
Yeah, it's no problem at all. You can definitely...
Which one should I do? The one I sent you or the short one, the Holocaust one? Because I think the Holocaust has so much resonances with what's going on.
Yeah, whichever one you'd prefer. Did you submit them both?
I submitted Haiku Sand already. You've got it.
Okay. Let me try to pull
it
up.
Do you want me to resend?
Yeah, Haiku Sand. Yeah, I see that.
So either, or the other one is really short. It's almost a haiku-like.
Okay. Well, why don't you read them both since they're both short?
Okay.
So.
Okay. So I'll just wait for your instructions.
Yeah. Well.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah. No problem. So I have Haiku Sand. I don't have the other one.
No, you don't have the other one.
Yeah, but you could just read it and people could hear it. Yeah.
Yes, it's very short.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, why don't you do that?
Thanks. Okay. Haiku Sand. The photograph says Warsaw, 1938. Young girl, you never expected to enter history. You and your friends step onto the public beach as if breaking in. Then you forget. You race with gulls, mingle to scents of pine and chocolate. Hands of fire create pleasure in your bodies, barely formed. You leap and laugh, ignoring the stares of haters, thinking that maybe today life begins by sharing God in waves and sand. I see you filling your hands with hours of hope. Otherwise, blown apart, the rebel moans. Your spirit holds.
Thanks so much. And that was Anita Lyric reading her poem Haiku Sand. And let's see when you wrote in your note, I've been writing about deadly racism for a long time. So many similarities between different iterations. But what can art do about this? No let up. Keep the topic front of mind and strive to make the form as compelling as possible. Yeah. So thanks so much for sharing that. And did you want to read the other short one that you mentioned?
Yes, there's so many dead poets who died in the Holocaust, and their whole existence hinged on having those words found by us. Okay? And they were found sometimes months after they died, when their bodies were exhumed. And those words are like their lives, found. Here's a poem by Dan Pagis, Pagis. He survived 3 years in Romanian concentration camp, and then he went and lived in the Soviet Union, as it was then known afterwards. The title is Written in Pencil in the Sealed Railway Car. Here in this carload, I am Eve, with Abel my son. If you see my other son, Cain, son of man, tell him that I.
Wow. Well, that's a powerful little poem. Thanks so much for sharing that.
And it's from the voice of the victim of Eve, out of the Garden of Eden to the Holocaust.
Yeah. That's a very powerful poem. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
You're very welcome, and thanks for helping me work through my glitches here.
Oh, it's no problem at all. Yeah, it's tough to learn this new technology, but it's fun too. So I'm glad you could join us.
No, thank you.
Yep, have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that I think that's our show for today. It's past 5:00. I have to take the kids out. So thanks everybody for joining us. It was a real pleasure, as it always is, sharing these poems every Sunday with you. Hope you join us. We're doing this every time, same channel, same time, same channel. So do join us next week too. For the Rattlecast this week, I have to let you know. And maybe we'll get to, I should say, Chris Klinefelter. I'm sorry we didn't get to you, but I still haven't gotten that poem in the it didn't answer when it rang. So just we'll do you next week if you can join us next week, and still email that poem to openmic, all one word, at rattle.com, and we can do it next week. But anyway, this week on the Rattlecast, Dorianne Lux is going to be the guest. One of my all-time favorite poets, so this is a real pleasure for me to get to watch or talk and hear some poems from Dorianne Lux. Her new book is Only as the Day is Long, and I think it's a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize or something like that. I have to look that up again. But, well, there's a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. Did she win, though? That's the thing I wanted to look up. But anyway, I'm looking forward to talking to Dorianne and hearing some of her great poems in this new and selected book that came out. There's a whole, I think maybe 20 new poems in addition to excellent poems from her older books. And that'll be Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And the prompt for the week, I should let you know too, but I have to find it really quick. The prompt for this week is going to be... you can always find the prompts at rattle.com/rattlecast. But the Tuesday open mic is a prompt, and the prompt is, oh yeah, that's right. So with your eyes closed, open any book to a random page, and make the title of your poem the first word you see. So that's the prompt for this week coming up. You can see it there. That's the next week's prompt. With your eyes closed, open any book to a random page. Make that the title of your poem. Make the title of your poem the first word you see. So that's the prompt for this week. If you write a poem about that, you can call in on the open mic like we do here. All the same stuff applies, but we do it right after we talk to Dorianne Lux for about an hour. So we're looking forward to that. Hope to see you there. See you next week for next week's Poets Respond Live too. And hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.